Hello everyone, my name is Amanda and welcome back to another video of the Playing. So today we're going to talk about some of my favorite hybrid Hoyas. And before we get started, we have to understand what hybrid is. So hybrid essentially is combining or cross-pollinate two different species and then make a new species. So in the Hoyas family or the Hoyas genus, right, we basically take Hoya A and then we cross-pollinate that with Hoyas B, and then you got Hoyas AB. So that's basically biology 101. So hybridization can happen both naturally or man-made. So meaning that, in the nature, there could be bees or just even sometimes wind, may accidentally like cross-pollinate two different species of Hoyas. However, hybridization can also happen artificially. So meaning that actually that's most of the time how it happens, right? In the Hoyas, especially in the Hoyas genus. So, the growers, right, would actually take the pollens of one Hoyas and then cross-pollinate that with the other Hoyas and then create a new Hoyas, and then they give it a new name. So some of the example, could be like Hoyas Lowell, Hoyas Joy, Hoyas Leftly, and I'm sure you have heard of a lot of that. So, those more like human sounding name, they are actually hybridized Hoyas. And then the person who actually, create that hybrids or, register the hybrids get to name the Hoya whatever they want. So you'll hear all this like human sounding names. So those are the hybridized Hoyas. Right, so now how do you know the particular Hoya you're looking for, you're purchasing, it's actually a hybridization or hybridized Hoyas, right? So you really have to look at the name. So assuming the sellers or the grower or whoever offer you the plants actually label the plants correctly according to the official nomenclature rule. If it is a hybridization, it will say Hoya single quotation mark whatever, right? So it could be Hoya single quotation mark viola, Hoya single quotation mark Genevieve, Hoya single quotation mark Penny Street. So that single quotation mark with the human sounding name in the middle basically is tell you that that species is being created artificially by someone, right? So sometimes you also see Hoya CV dot, so CV both lowercase dot, and then the name. So it could be Hoya CV dot Iris Marie, Hoya CV dot, like same thing, Genevieve, Hoya CV dot Crystal, right? So those actually means the same thing as single quotation mark. So it's basically mean that that particular species of Hoyas are being created or is being created artificially. So what does CV stand for is a question that I got a lot on Instagram or otherwise. So CV actually stands for cultivated variety. So from the name, you know that, or from what it stands for, you know that it's being cultivated. Being cultivated by who? By someone, by a human. So it is actually being created artificially. So basically the single quotation mark and the CV means the same thing. It means that there's human intervention to create this particular species. So next question is, what's the difference between hybridization and CV, right? Why there's like different names, right? So remember I said that hybridization can happen both naturally and artificially. So in the nature, again, by wind or by bees or by other insects, right? Hybridization can happen, right? Without human intervention. But it also can happen artificially, right? So like I said, the growers can cross-pollinate certain plants and then create a new species. So those are considered hybridization as well. However, in the case of CV, cultivated variety, there must be human intervention in order to create that. So if you see a plant like Hoya CV dot whatever, it means that yes, someone is there and did something, cross-pollinated Hoyas, and then create a new species. So that's basically what's the difference between hybridization and cultivated variety. So if you see CV or like the single quotation mark in your Hoya's name, that means that that species actually being created by someone. And oftentimes when you look that name up, you can actually find out who actually hybridized the Hoya as well. So one really important note for nomenclature, right? Correct nomenclature. You will either use, if it is a cultivated variety, you will either use CV dot and just the name without the quotation mark, or you use Hoya quotation mark, single quotation mark, whatever the name is. So you don't use both at the same time, right? So make sure that you label your Hoyas correctly. All right, so why do people hybridize Hoya? Why do people take so much time and efforts, and it's required a lot of expertise and knowledge to hand pollinate Hoya, right? So this could be many reasons. So sometimes most of the time people actually like certain traits of that particular Hoyas, like those particular Hoyas, and then they think that, okay, if I combine them, maybe I can get the traits as well, right? And most of the time, hybridization does diversify the gene pool. So it's meaning that, it might, it's not 100% of the time, but it might create a more resilient species as well, just like how, the biology works in other creatures, on this planet. So yeah, so there's many reasons people actually hybridize Hoyas. And then I will show you some of my favorite cultivated varieties of Hoyas, and then explain more on that. All right, speaking of my favorite hybridization or hybridized Hoyas, my criteria of choosing like who is my favorite children is how easy it is to grow, like how resilient, how easy it is to grow. So like I mentioned earlier, one of the benefits or one of the reasons people hybridize Hoya is because they want to create a better species, right? A more resilient species, a stronger species. And it doesn't happen all the time, right? Hybridization doesn't, it's not like 100% success rate, right? So you really have to keep trying to see if you can actually create that new species, and you have to grow those seeds to see when the Hoyas actually grow up, does it carry the traits that you're looking for, or does it actually grow well at all, period, right? So this 5 of them I picked, I would say in my experience, grows super well, like vigorous grower, resilient, super low maintenance, and I also do like the look. So that's why I picked these 5 Hoyas. I just want to put it out there because I know there's plenty other hybridized Hoyas varieties out there that, I do not have, like I do not have in my collection either, or like I didn't pick as one of my favorites. And it's because my number one criteria is, does this hybridization actually help the plants to become a better grower, a more resilient species. So that's how I actually look at it. So yeah, so if you guys look at these 5 Hoyas and then feel like that you have other cultivated varieties of Hoyas that you like better, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I would love to check them out, right? So with that being said, I'm going to show you my top 5 favorites hybridized Hoya. So the first one I want to show you, I have shown it so many times, you guys are probably sick of it, but I just like it so much. It's just such a perfect Hoya from, the easiest to grow to the look, right? So that's why I have to show it again. If you guys are sick of it, I'm sorry, because I'm not. So, yeah. So this is my Hoya CV Mathilde, or Hoya single quotation mark Mathilde. So I think I show it in my Easy but Uncommon Part 2 Hoya's video. And yeah, so Hoya's Mathilde, if you don't know already, it's actually a mix of Hoya's canosa and Hoya's serpents. So this is what I meant by a better species. So it's basically got the best of both worlds. So it is as fast growing and easy growing as a regular canosa, like a Hoya canosa, but it also has this like cute rounded leaves of a Hoya serpent. So I feel like this is I would call this a really successful hybridization of Hoyas. So you can see, yeah, this is like, it has grown a lot. When I first got it, it was only 1 vine, maybe like, I don't know, like 6-7 inches wide. in a 2-inch pot, and that's it. And I got this from Noji, by the way, a long time ago. But yeah, well, not a long time ago, maybe a year ago. But anyway, yeah, it has grown a lot. I cut it, and considering I cut it so many times because it's so easy to propagate as well. Yeah, I got this, and then when I first got it too, it wasn't splashy. It had like a couple speckles maybe, and also it's in a much lighter green color. But as I grow it, you know, over a period of time, and then I give it a lot of light, you can see it's start to get like more and more splashy. I even have some like half moon, focus, there you go, half moon leaves right there as well. So yeah, so all in all, this is like, I don't care what people say, like if it is like common or whatever. But this is like definitely one of my favorite you know, hybridized Hoyas, just because of like how easy it grow, and also how fast it grow, and super low maintenance, and it just looks so cute. So this is the first hybridized Hoya I want to show you. Hoya Mathilde. Yes. Okay, so the second one I want to show you, I also have shown it in another video when I talk about like some of my favorite foliage, you know, of Hoyas. And this guy, it's one of the big round leaves that I really like. And this is my Hoya Joy, or Hoya CV.Joy. So Hoya Joy is a cross between Hoyas Vetelina and Hoyas Spa Laos. So you can see, yeah, you know, like I said, it have like bigger round leaves. And if you have a Vetelina, or if you have seen a Vetelina, it's actually really resemble, the leaves actually really resemble its parents. It's just like, you know, rounder shaped leaf, but I would say like my Vetelina probably have like slightly even rounder shape of leaf, but regardless, it's a really beautiful plant. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like the fastest growing, but it's reasonable. It's growing at a reasonable speed. And then I just really like how the new leaves come out like darker, and then they have this like, you know, a little bit of like maroon or purplish margin, and then it's also developed speckles on it. And you can see the difference. This is the older leaf, right, which is like a little bit more lime green and yellow. And I also think this is the older leaves, and this is also, whoopsie, below, this is also older leaves. So yeah, all the new leaves come out like, you know, it's darker and also more splashy, and then you can see like, you know, some new growths coming out from here. So there's new leaves right here, new leaves right here, there's a new white coming up, and there's a tiny one right there. So yeah, so pretty easy to care for, super low maintenance. Although it's not the fastest growing, it's definitely not as fast as a Mathilde, but it's not the fastest growing, but then it's just so low maintenance. I literally just leave it in Iybok, and I water it maybe once a week to every 10 days. And yeah, and it's happy. It's never give me any problem with complaint, knock on wood. So yeah, so this is my other favorite hybrid Hoya CV Joy. Yay. So next we're gonna switch gear. So the Mathilde and the Joy that I just showed you, they are both like a little bit of more succulent species of Hoya. So I'm going to show you this one. I also have shown this one before in my rainy days Hoya video, which is the Hoya who actually can tolerate a little bit more moisture, right? And this is my, ta-da, Hoya Iris Marie. So Hoya Iris Marie, for the longest time, I've been growing this for a while now, like this particular species. I've been growing this species for a while, and I never know who are the parents. I try to look it up, it's just impossible to find until I actually talked to Ted Green. And if you don't know already, Ted Green is one of the most reputable, I guess, and also very experienced Hoyas collectors who based in Hawaii of the United States. And I actually had such the pleasure to talk to him and his wife Dorothy a few weeks ago. And then he actually revealed for me the true parents, like one of the parents of Hoya Iris Marie, which is Hoya odorata. And I also have a Hoya odorata, so it just literally like blew my mind, because I was like, that is true. So when I look at the odorata, it has a very similar leaf shape as the Hoyas Iris Marie. I would say maybe slightly narrower, but it's very similar. It just, there's no special veining. It's like plain green. I would say Hoya odorata may have a slightly more succulent leaf than Hoyas Iris Marie. And it's also like this like bush-like growing structure. So you can look at the parents and then you look at the kids, you're like, oh yeah, you guys look similar. And then you can see Hoyas Iris Marie is giving me a lot of new growth. And I really love the new growth because like every time when the new growth come out, it's this like really deep copper maroon color. It's almost like reflective. It's just so beautiful. And then you can also see like there's also new growth on the other side. This guy is so easy to grow in my environment. So like I said in my other video, yeah, it does like a little bit more moisture, and that's why it's in nacre, because if you don't know already, I'm a super lazy plant parent. And I forgot my plants sometimes. So I forgot about them and then they just, dying because of thirstiness. So yeah, so that's why I put it in nacre, because I know that this particular species does like a little bit more moisture, like don't drown it, but like a little bit more moisture. So lacquer actually does the trick. So I don't have to like worry about like, oh, did I forget to water my Iris Marie? So yeah, and the other best thing about Hoyas Iris Marie is, unlike most of the Hoyas, or at least the Hoyas I grow, I don't have all Hoyas, trust me. I'm far away from all Hoyas. But at least from the one I grow, it actually doesn't require as much bright indirect light to drive, in comparison to some other Hoyas. Most of my Hoyas, I have to put it under grow light. So it would grow at a reasonable speed, not even fast, like reasonable speed. But Hoyas Iris Marie is far away from my grow light and is sitting next to a eastern, I would say like more like an eastern exposure, kind of like light, lateral light. And this guy just like, it's happy. It's just been growing like really, really steadily. And, it doesn't give me any complaints. And yeah, I think this will be the one that if you can control the moisture level better, and if you have like not as much of bright light, or you don't want to use like grow light, this is the one species that you can try. I do not use a humidifier in my home at all. And I talk about it why. I told you why in my last video, which is the fungal infection video, because I just had a really bad episode. I don't even want to talk about it. But yeah, I don't use humidifier in my house. And then my ambient humidity is about 50 to 60% because I just live so close to the beach. I got lucky. And it's grow well. Like it doesn't require like particular high humidity. However, this guy used to be in my greenhouse, which have a lot more humidity, and it's grow even faster. So basically this guy doesn't need a lot of light. It doesn't need a lot of humidity, but if you give it more humidity, it will grow so fast. So yeah, so I think it's a really great species to try out. Yeah, Iris Marie. So we don't know the other parents. We only know odorata is actually one of the parents. All right, so I saved the next two together. It's because they are actually hybridized by the same person, and that person is Susan Schwarzfeger at Coco Ranch Hoya. So she's also a really famous Hoyas grower, and she runs Coco Ranch Hoya. So if you guys want to check out their website, check it out. Although it's always out of stock, it's really hard to get a plants from Susan because she is a pretty experienced grower, right? So this next one I want to show you is I would say out of all my Hoyas, this is definitely one of the top 3 in terms of how fast or how vigorous it grows. And this is, ta-da, Hoya Dr. Iybok. I know, it's an interesting name. So yeah, you can see this is Hoya Dr. Iybok. You have to say Iybok. It's not Iybok, right? That's just wrong, right? But it's Hoya Dr. Iybok. Yeah, so this guy's, it's a cross. Okay, listen to this. This is going to get a little bit complicated. So this guy is a cross between Hoya elachiorum and Hoya viola. So these are the two parents of Hoya Dr. Iybok. But you have to understand that Hoya viola itself, it's also a hybridized Hoya. So basically, it has the genes. And Hoya viola is a cross between Hoya deichii and also Hoya vetulina. So basically, this guy have 3 parents. It has, yeah, so it have like 3 sets of genes in it. So it has Hoya elagiorum, which is a species. And then it also have Hoya vitellina, which is a species, one of the parents of Hoya viola, which is one of the parents of Hoya Dr. Iybok. And then also Hoya daykia, which is also a species, but you know, it's a grandparent, I guess, of Hoya Dr. Iybok. And that's why hybridization can be so confusing, because if one of the parents of your hybrids is also a hybrid, then you will have to trace back to that hybrid's parents, which is the grandparents, essentially, to figure out what kind of genes is actually in the particular plant. So yeah, so it can get a little bit confusing. And I actually spoke with one of our Swedish Hoyas collectors. She is pretty well known. She have over 400 Hoyas in her house. And Swedish is, you know, they have one of the biggest Hoyas community in the world, right? So yeah, so this lady told me that like she doesn't like to grow hybrids, and the reason is exactly because it's very hard sometimes to figure out the parents when you have like multiple like hybrids and plus hybrids in the mix. So that's why she grow, like, even though she have like over 400 Hoyas, she grow mainly like species only. Like only, I think she told me like only 4 out of her like 400 it's hybrids. So yeah, so that can get confusing. But anyway, it's a very, very, very gorgeous looking Hoyas. So this guy, I got a big mama plant from Susan, and it's too big for my place. It grows so fast. So I have to like cut it. So I cut it into many pieces and I propagated. I sold some of it, I swapped some of it, I gave away some of it. And this is like, you know, the plants that I have left. And I think it started with maybe this leaves and then this leaves. And it has grown all this leaf out here, and you can see, similar to the Mathilde, like, you know, it was lime green, but then it gets darker, and it's even developed like some major, I don't know, this is not dirt. This is like, you know, this is actually a splash, you know, that the plant developed. Yeah, so it's a really beautiful, really vigorous grower. I would say this is also a very, very, very successful hybrid. So yeah, this is Hoya Dr. Iybok, hybridized by Susan Schwarzweger. All right, so the last one I want to show you is, she is just so gorgeous, and she's getting more gorgeous by the day. And this is my Hoya, you already see it, my Hoya CV crystal, Hoya, you know, single quotation mark crystal. So yeah, so this is Hoya crystal. It's also hybridized by Susan Schwarzweger. The rumor has it is Susan actually named it after her daughter, Crystal. And that's the cool thing about like hybridizing Hoyas, you gotta name, you know, whatever you want, right? So I would love to be able to, I'm learning hand pollinating Hoyas. But yeah, I would like, if one day I succeed to create new seedlings, I would love to name it after someone I love. I think that would be a really, really great thing to do. But yeah, you can see Hoya CV crystal. It's actually a canosa cultivar. So now, I don't know who the parents are, but I know one of the parents is a Hoya canosa. Could both parents be Hoya canosa, like, you know, but different variety of canosa? Yes. But I don't know that for sure, but I know that it's a canosa cultivar, so it's definitely have canosa in it. It's explain like why it is like growing so fast and so easy. So you can see like this plant, right? You can tell really easily. So the lighter green leaves right here, right? And like this one up here, they are the older leaves when I first got it. And you can see all this darker leaf. Sorry, this trellis is not very stable. So you can see all this like darker green leaves, like all this up here, are new grow. It just, I don't want to jinx it, but it just won't stop growing. And by the time I realize, it's because it's tall, so it's in the back of my shelf. By the time I realize, it's already go all the way up. So I have to re-trellis it. I actually re-trellis it the other day, and that's why they have this like really weird tiny pot, but super tortuous. But yeah, so Hoya seaweed crystal, super easy to grow. Like I said, the older leaf is more lime green. The newer leaf is darker green just because I'm giving it a lot of light, and it's also getting more splashy because of the highlights level. And very similar to Iybok. I also have it in my woody barky mix, and like I said, it's in the back of my shelf, so it means that it's received basically minimal minimal attention. I might water it once every 7 days to 10 days, and that's pretty much it. And then it just has been growing. Yeah, it does sit next to my grow light, so I think that helps a lot, you know, with the splash and the dark green foliage. But yeah, so I would say this is also a very successful hybridization done by Susan, because not only that it's pretty, right? It's pretty, it's green, it's lush, but it's also very vigorous growing. So that's what I mean by a stronger species. All right, sorry, it's not stable. So that's all I have got for you today. So today we talk a little bit about nomenclature. I hope it's not too boring, because it's a very important topic. We have to address our plants correctly. Otherwise, it will be really hard for us to maintain an accurate record of what kind of Hoya species are out there, right? And I also show you some of my favorite Hoya hybrids. So we're gonna recap really quick. And I think the first one I show is this one. Yeah. So Mathilde, must have. If you don't have it, go get it. Because how easy it is to grow. I believe the price of Mathilde has gone down significantly. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like cheap, but you know, in comparison to when I first got it, yeah, this is probably much more affordable now. So yeah, so if you can afford it, go get one. Okay, second one is, yeah, Hoya Joy. So yeah, this girl is very beautiful, big round leaves. Super steady, like very steady grower, no maintenance, so really gorgeous. I would say, like, you know, in terms of big round leaves, it's actually, you know, it's actually grow like at a very good speed. So third one, Iris Marie. So this is the girl that, one of the Hoyas that like more moisture, doesn't need as bright as of a light of my more succulent one. And it's had this really beautiful maroon new grow, and it will eventually fade into green, you know, when the leaf get more mature. So yeah, so I really like this one. One of the parents is Hoya odorata. And next we have this complicated child, Hoya Dr. Iybok. So remember, right, it's a cross between Hoya elachiorum, which is a species, and another hybrid, which is Hoya viola. And Hoya viola is actually a child of Hoya Dakii and Hoya Vitalina. So yeah, so it's have like, basically you have 3 sets of genes at least in this particular like Dr. Iybok. Yeah, so extremely vigorous grower, shiny green leaves. You know, if you give it more light, even some splash. Someone told me it can get light stress too, so we'll see. All right, last but not least, another Canosa cultivar. And this is Hoya seaweed crystal, also hybridized by Susan Schwarzweger. New grow come out very dark and very splashy. I'll show you the old one so you can see the difference. So this is the old leaves. These are the old leaves, and this is the new leaves. So yeah, environmental factors that make a huge difference on the appearance of leaf. But regardless, it's a great grower. It's grow really fast. All right, so let me know what you think about this video. I think it'll be fun to just, you know, mix a little bit of more technical stuff like nomenclature and, you know, some definition, botanical terms like hybrids, cultivar. And I hope this is informational for you. You learn something from it. That's my biggest goal when making this video. Is I would think about, like, would I be able to share some of my knowledge and experience with you? That's the most important thing for me, for making, you know, all this, like, you know, plants video. And if you like this video, make sure to click like. If you want more future video, make sure to click subscribe. And most importantly, if you do have some of your favorite hybrid that I didn't mention in this video, obviously, because I only mentioned 5, you can leave in a comment below, because I would like to learn some new species. And with that being said, I will see you next time. Bye.